Welcome back, teacher friends. You are watching Misfit to Teach, where I talk about all things teaching and how to stay mentally, physically, and emotionally fit to teach. It just so happens that today is day 2 of some much needed snow time, which actually couldn't have come at a better time because I also happen to be deathly ill. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. I'm sinusy right now and a little bit sick. So I thought, since we're home, not in school, and I'm sick anyway, this would be a great time to look at and respond to some teacher videos that have made the rounds in recent years or recent months and talk about what went wrong with these interactions. It's not a secret that a lot of times these kids will try you. They will purposely say and do things to test the boundaries and to push your limits. So I want to take us through just a few videos today to see how we can avoid these pitfalls. Let's watch the first one.
Where it's going to tell you need this much of a deposit, or you need to be a member of the bank, or fees.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry that I was helping my friend with her work.
That's a medicine that stare dress. Medicine that stare dress.
I'm just trying to get
I can tell you're trying to intimidate me, but I don't quite care. I'm sorry, ma'am, but I was trying to help my friend. Are you going to send us to the office?
Yeah!
Dang.
Miss Moore, you gonna let it talk about that?
If you're going to say something to me, I'd rather you say it now than keep staring at me. I can tell you're trying to intimidate me.
Oh my God.
I don't know what she was trying to accomplish. I don't know. Maybe she was genuinely at a loss for words. It all came to a head. It was to a point where like she just didn't have anything else to say. What I can tell you is don't do this. I think in this situation, the student was absolutely the more mature one. The teacher clearly was trying to use intimidation tactics. You never want to put your classroom, your students in a situation where it's a battle of wills in terms of trying to intimidate each other. That is the quickest way to classroom dysfunction and meltdown. She is going to lose these kids fast, but even more importantly, she's going to lose their respect. Before you resort to a stare down with your kids where you're getting into their personal space and you're just sort of giving them that hard, silent stare, you can approach your student, but you want to be very clear and concise with your instructions. Let's say, for example, she had already told the class, maybe even several times, to stop talking. What I would do in that situation is walk up, approach the student just as she did, give the instruction to her explicitly, firmly, but still with a good tone in your voice. Something that lets her know you're serious, but you're also open to her response. And then she might say something like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Rodriguez, I was just giving her the instructions real quick." I would immediately cut in at that point and say, "Thank you so much. Give her the instructions real quick, but you two need to be listening," right? Because I'm actually going over the instructions right now. I can guarantee you that's going to stop all the interaction right there. The bottom line is, don't do what this poor, exhausted teacher did, engaging in some kind of weird stare down, because that is not going to have any kind of positive effect and it's not going to solve the problem. Okay, let's watch the next one. This is fun.
Say it! No pomegranates!
No pomegranates. No pomegranates. No pomegranates.
Come on!
No pomegranates.
No pomegranates! No pomegranates! No pomegranates! None! I don't want them anywhere near here. Am I clear? Say the rule again. No pomegranates! Say it.
No pomegranates.
I don't know. I can't help but feeling like this whole situation could have been avoided had they just stopped bringing in the pomegranates. Evidently, clearly there's a backstory here. I don't know the full details, but I think pomegranates, the kids were bringing them in too much. They were getting out of control. Maybe the juice was getting everywhere. They were leaving seeds everywhere. It gets kind of disgusting and messy really easily. I don't know. I only have the context of this video, and granted, there is absolutely no context here other than pomegranates. But here's what I can tell you. Losing your mind and screaming rules at your students and then forcing them to regurgitate, first of all, how mentally exhausting and physically taxing on the teacher. Screaming and yelling in that moment actually costs you more energy. And as a teacher, it leaves you in a bit of an energy deficit. Having the temper tantrum and meltdown in front of your kids is actually more detrimental to your well-being than it is helpful. If the pomegranates really were getting out of control in the classroom, this was an opportunity to infuse a little bit of humor into the disciplinary tactic or to get some help with the disciplinary tactic. Before the pomegranates ever got out of control in the classroom, I literally would have said to my class, I cannot believe we have to have this conversation. I thought that, I don't know, if we ever had to have a disciplinary conversation, it would be about one of you kids pulling the fire alarm or hitting each other constantly, which I feel like I'm always getting on you about. Or a resurgence of that really weird apple controversy we had last year in the stairwell. We did actually have some kind of apple controversy in our high school in the stairwell last year. But no, we're talking about pomegranates. So right now we're gonna go over the rules about pomegranates in the class. When I do that, it's gonna foster humor, it's gonna foster intent listening, it's going to foster their feedback because they feel that the platform is open to where they can explain the situation with the pomegranates and why they keep bringing them in. But overall, I'm going to use humor to positively reinforce my instructions, and then I'm going to instill the consequence on the front end by telling them, if you bring another pomegranate to this classroom, this is what's going to happen, X, Y, and Z. Yeah? Because we're done with the pomegranates, guys. You cannot keep bringing them in class. I'm not shutting them down with temper tantrums, not threatening their lives, I'm not getting their faces, and I'm not saying it in a way to where it doesn't foster discussion. Of course, if you want to take it to a more serious note, actually what you could do, and this arguably might be even more effective, bring in one of the custodians. If the pomegranates really and truly are creating some kind of cleanliness issue in the school or in your classroom, bring in one of the custodians in front of those kids and have them talk about why this is such a problem with cleanliness. A lot of times what happens, have you ever, I don't know if maybe you've noticed this in your own life, we hear something better. It has more impact when it's coming from a voice that is not the voice that you are used to hearing it from. If your students hear from the custodians, the ones charged with cleaning, disinfecting, and keeping the building safe, there is more likely to foster some buy-in that you would not have had it just been coming from your mouth. So if you're not going to reinforce your own rules using humor and open discussion, consider having those same rules coming from the mouth of someone else. Okay, let's watch the next one.
Why?
Multiple times.
Why can't I play it?
Because you are not allowed
Last
to.
year we could.
Yeah, last year we
We're
could.
not doing last year. We are done with it. Last year was gone.
At least let me log out.
We will log it out for you.
No, I am.
We
Whatever.
are done.
What the fuck ever you
They mentioned something very important here. When she's engaging with this student, his rebuttal is, you let us do this last year. Really want you to take stock of that rebuttal. Because even though he's wrong, clearly, for playing a video game in the middle of instructional time, he's not wrong for following an established pattern that was allowed in previous years. Playing a video game under any circumstances in the classroom outside of established and limited and controlled free time that was given with explicit permission by the teacher is not appropriate. Now, he's pushing back on her because he, again, was allowed to do this in previous years. Of course, her rebuttal to that is that we are not having a repetition of last year. And I agree with that. She's trying to establish a new routine, a routine that he's clearly not comfortable with, and they're butting heads because of it. Rather than getting in the kid's face, escalating your voice and yelling about how he can't do this, this is an opportunity that you have to stay really, really calm and really firm. You could still approach the student, but when you do, you need to refer to your rules and then end the conversation. Hey, Jaden, we're not playing Roblox in class. You need to go ahead and come off right now. We're getting ready to get started on something new. If he comes with his rebuttal, but we were allowed to do it last year. It really doesn't matter, Jaden. We're not doing that anymore this year. We are changing things up. So you need to go ahead and come on off the game right now. We're not getting back on it. We're getting into something new. Here we go. And then go right into the assignment or the task that you're getting ready to complete. Give him some time, of course, to log off the game and to make peace with the fact that he has to comply with this new rule. But in this instance, you're actually not open to a whole lot of discussion, because that discussion on his part is going to be solely based on why he should be allowed to play. State the instruction, refer to your rule, end the conversation. And then if worse comes to worse, maybe you should just remove the computer altogether, or shut it down, or have it, to where they can only be on it on certain times for certain tasks. I don't know. But handling it in this way, where we're having a meltdown, where we're getting out of our cool, it's really just going to prompt an argument and a back and forth, and that's not what you want. Okay, let's watch the last one.
Anybody with good sense ought to be weary of a stranger, okay? But maybe you don't have good sense, because you're sitting here arguing with me and you're making me mad, and I'm going to send you to the office if you don't shut up!
He's tweaking right now.
That does it.
He's tweaking.
Mister, I am serious. Wipe that smirk off your face now.
So I think we can all agree that was just pretty much, uncalled for. She definitely didn't need to get in that kid's face, and she certainly didn't need to scream the way she did. I don't know the full context of what it is that they're arguing about. Something about like strangers or approaching people, or people approaching you, or your interactions with strangers. I don't know. But what I'm sensing is that even he didn't agree with the stuff that was coming out of his mouth. He was clearly saying things to explicitly and purposefully get under this teacher's skin, and she took the bait. Okay, this is an opportunity for humor. I find so many times in my own classroom, with my interaction with students in the hallways, it's so much easier when we diffuse things using sarcasm and humor than it is like to engage in a back and forth. Now, I'm not expecting all the teachers to use comedic relief or to start doing some kind of comedic act anytime you want to diffuse heavy situations in your classroom. You're there to guide and to nurture and to educate your students. You're not there to entertain them with comedy. So I definitely get that. I'm simply suggesting that humor can be a really, really useful diffusion tool when you find that there's friction coming into the conversation. This kid is talking to this teacher about strangers. He's clearly saying things that he knows are going to trigger her and get under her skin, and she is taking the bait and she's getting hostile. Instead, why don't you make a joke about them going with strangers? Yeah, Michael, even if you go with strangers, we know they're going to bring you back. It's okay, Michael. If you get kidnapped, I'm sure somebody will fill out a missing persons report. Saying something that's going to lighten the mood a little bit, while still making the ultimate point, which is, I think in this case, like, you shouldn't be going with strangers, or you shouldn't be interacting with people that you don't know, whatever the case may be. But you absolutely don't take the bait, because these kids can and will test you, and they'll test your boundaries. And a lot of times they're doing it for no other reason than purely their own entertainment and to use it against you. Look, education and being a teacher is hard, because these kids that we know we care about are often the first ones to be disloyal or hurtful to us. So you have to ask yourself how you can leverage your wit, your humor, and your clarity of thought in a way that's going to foster buy-in and cooperation from this audience of immature people who are trying to break you. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm sure there are other crazy videos floating around out there of teachers losing their minds. If you wouldn't mind, please share with us some tips and tricks of how you diffuse these same situations in your classroom, or ones that you've seen that have also gotten way out of hand. We'd love to know how you're dealing, how we can avoid these situations. Thanks so much for watching. If you've gained anything out of the conversation today, please give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you again next week. Do all you can to stay fit to teach and stay well. It's flu season. Be well.